Hey y'all, it's your girl Jada J. What's up? What's up? Okay, so y'all know, and I'm sorry. Okay, I did not do a review last week. Okay, and I apologize. I apologize for it. Okay, but here's what happened. Now I was sitting down watching the show, and the first scene was Jeffrey, Justin, and Landon. So just in that opening scene, okay, I had nearly an entire page written because just the dialogue and everything that was going on, I was trying to keep up with it. And then the Jeffrey and Justin scene when Landon got kicked out, I practically had a full page. I said, you know what, I don't feel like doing it tonight. I'm sorry, I just don't. It was such a long scene. It wasn't bad or whatever because it was like showed how I don't want to say crazy Justin is, but a little unhinged. Unhinged, would you say? So, yeah. And I was like, I can't do it. If this opening scene was near the end, no different tonight, but I can't skip 2 weeks in a row. God willing. Okay, so anyway, sorry you guys. Uh this is the Haves and Have Not season 5, episode 19, Haunted by the Surname. And I'm guessing that comes from the conversation with Mitch and Katherine. Let's go in. Okay, so remember last week it ended with Charles and Candace in the room, and he said, look, I can get you a clean slate. And she's do tell, you know what I'm saying? She's, well, what do I have to do, and he goes, all you have to do is let your brother go down for the murder. So remember it ended last week with we didn't know what her response was going to be, but this week she goes off, nearly killed the brother. For like, I was scared for his life. She said, you got to be kidding me, my brother, you want me to give up my brother? She's like, you must be freaking insane. She was like, I love my brother with every piece of me, and I will go down to that police station and turn my. I just ruined the moment. I just ruined it. Somebody's fired. Because, no, now it doesn't have the same effect. She said, I will go down to the police station myself and turn myself in before I ever let my brother take the fall for me. So when he was like, all this for your brother, she was like, yeah. He was like, well, I'm sorry, I've never known that kind of love. She was like, you have kids. What are you talking about? He's like, that's different. She was like, oh, but what about your wife? Because from what I read, you loved her very much. She goes, was that a lie? He's like, no, you're right. I loved her with all my heart. She was like, then why would you even think that I would give up my family for this? Why would you even? She was like, you know what? I don't feel like doing this right now. I need some air. And he was like, well, I'm not stopping you. She was like, actually, you are. Get out. And he was like, are you serious? And she was like, yep. So he's walking to the door. He goes, you just gave up an opportunity of a lifetime, right? She was like, no, you lost your mind when you thought I was giving up my brother for something that I did. So get out. Go head on. Okay. So she slams the door on him. He goes back into his room. Got the nerve to lock the door like she gonna try and sneak it. You know what I'm saying? I was over that. No, and actually I want to go back and say that when she says, oh, I love him, I would never do that. He goes, oh, so why did you forge those documents in his name? Remember, that was actually Erica, but Candace agreed to it. And she was like, do you know what color underwear I'm wearing? Like, and he's like, no, I haven't seen those yet. Just real smart. I don't know. For some reason, I could still see those two ending up in the end, especially since we find out we only got 2 freaking seasons left. Every time I think about that, I get so upset. And because that's so premature for this show. It's a soap opera. Soap operas don't end after 7 seasons. I mean, it's happened before if a show is canceled, but this show hasn't been canceled. Tyler is just ending it. That series finale better be off the freaking chain. Matter of fact, next season better be off because this season was good. I'm not gonna try and front on it, but next season better be fired. The last season definitely better be, because I'm hearing both. I'm hearing like 2 different things. I'm hearing that either there's gonna be technically 3 more seasons or there's gonna be 2. I'm pretty sure it's 2 because they're saying 2019. But then I don't know. I'm reading in other places that the show is gonna run through 2020, so that means they would make what, 8 seasons. So I don't know. But I'm guessing, I'm going to say we have 2 more seasons left just to be on the safe side. And I'm sorry, Tyler. This season was really good. It is really good. But we only got a few more episodes left and it's been dragging. And guys, what I'm saying is because I like to be like, okay, but people are tripping and all that. People are tripping because people overdo it. I love this show. I don't care what you want to say to me. I love this show. But come on, Tyler. The scenes have been running a little long. And we need everything. We need everything. I'm just saying condense it a little bit. This scene with Oscar and Candace, it was literally just going back and forth about, no to Benny, like, okay, we got it. And she gave enough how could you even ask me that just the first time? So we didn't really need a reiteration for him to be like, I can't believe, you know what I mean? Like, come on now. So it was better because it wasn't as long as that freaking end scene with her and him that last week. That was kind of crazy. It was like the last 10 minutes of the episode, Tyler. Come on. And it was the same thing back and forth. You don't want a clean slate? Are you crazy? No, I can't take it. Oh, do you really have it? You know, and it was just kind of like, are you serious? It was a good scene. We needed it. But come on. Okay, the show is fantastic. I mean, the writing is fantastic, but just condense it a little bit, Tyler. Okay, because we ready. We want more stuff. That's really what it is. We want more stuff in one episode because we get the show once a week. So it's like you're teasing us when you have scenes this long because we know, like, oh my goodness, we're not gonna get what we want this week because this scene ran so long. You know, so it's almost like a compliment. Anyway, so and this was a good episode. I want to point that out. So then we actually switched to when she throws him out. We switched to Wyatt and Anna. Now this scene went a little long, in my opinion. Um, so but we needed it, so I'm fine. So we switched to Wyatt and Anna, and they're sitting there watching TV, laughing or whatever, and there's a knock on the door. So somebody was there dropping off her stuff, like her suitcase, and she goes, "Oh, thanks. We didn't see who the person was. They just dropped it off." She was like, "Oh, thank you," and she shut the door. And he goes, "Are you moving in?" She's like, "Yep. I'm not gonna take up too much space though." And he was like, "Well, I only have one shower." She's like, "Yeah, I actually did see that, and that shower is see through. Like you could freaking be standing there. It's just a full body. Just I see you naked in there. So that wouldn't be how I would be going right to the nice young gas station across the street if I was her. Get you a nice little sink bath. Okay, nah." You better go home. Go home, girl. Go home. All right. So yeah. Anyway, he's like, we only got one shower. She's like, yeah. And he goes, well, I guess that means we're gonna have to. She was like, no, because she think he cute. She thinks he's cute, and she's trying to control herself. Like this is a client. This is a junkie. You know what I'm saying? I was a junkie, and so she's trying to. Let me get him to where I am now before I sleep with him, pretty much. Okay, we need to cut that out because y'all are married and she doing a little too much. Okay, he's doing a lot too, but I wouldn't be paying attention. She be doing a little blush here and there, and I'd be like, really? Are you serious, Anna? All right, he ain't bad looking, I guess. So anyway, if he's gonna propose, girl, propose. That's the only way that's happening, and it shouldn't even be happening. Anyway, my bad. So yeah, she was like, "Up, that's not happening." And she goes, well, you're doing really good right now. He goes, well, night is not the problem. Daytime is the problem. That's what I'm really going through it. And she's like, well, you just need to find something to do. She was like, actually, did you fill out this questionnaire? So I'm going to try and condense this. It was nice, but it's okay. So she goes, oh, well, you need to finish that because it's really a part of your recovery and it's going to help out a lot. So she brings the questionnaire up on the iPad. And so she's like, so what is like one of your life dreams or something like that? That was the question. And he goes, you're going to think this is stupid. She's like, why? Did you want to be like a famous musician or something? He's like, no. She's like, then what is it? And he goes, I always wanted to be a fireman. And she was, why would I think that was stupid? He was like, my parents did. And she was like, really? And he was like, yeah, my whole life was always planned for me, boarding schools, freaking trips, with Navy SEAL officers and just all the, he's like, my life has always been planned out. My parents never really wanted us around much, and she was like, Ush, like you're talking about your sister. And he's like, yeah, she did what they wanted. And, was because they always wanted me to either head one of my grandfather's companies or go to law school. He's like, I just didn't want to do that. My sister ended up doing it though. And she was like, you loved her. And he's like, yeah. She goes, you don't talk about her very much. And he's like, I mean, she's dead. What's there to talk about? And she's like, were you guys close? He goes, yeah. And he's like, I'm sorry, but I don't really care to discuss it anymore. And she's like, okay, but this is rehabilitation and that you have to talk. Okay, so he's like, what can I say? It was a rough childhood. And she goes, there's more there. Like, there's something like you're not telling me. He's like, I don't really care to talk about it right now, to be honest. And she's like, well, we need to get you a fireman exam. And he was like, what? And she's like, yeah, why not? Dr. Jarvis knows a lot of people. He's like, I'm a recovering addict. Like, nobody's going to hire me. And she's like, you'd be surprised. She's like, come on, why not just research it up? And he was like, you serious? Like, you think I could really do this? And she's like, yeah. So she building them up, and he is gonna, I feel like he's developing a sort of dependency onto her, which, I mean, I guess is like a good and bad, because I think that he really likes her, and I think that is going to help keep his mind off the drugs, but I don't know. So yeah, so she's like, matter of fact, whose camera is that? And he goes, I don't know. I think the person who lived here before was a photographer. I guess they just kind of left the camera. And she was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, what? And she was, why don't we go around town and take pictures of all the firehouses and then you could like hang them up on the walls? And he's like, no. And she's like, yeah, why not? I mean, I'm here freaking all the time pretty much. I'm your shadow. And he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. And then his phone rings and he goes, Jeffrey's the only person who calls me. Let's ask him if he wants to go. And she's like, yeah, that would be cool. It's actually the DA George. Okay. And he's like, how are you and all that Wyatt Cryer? He's like, I'm fine. And where's DA Salison? And he goes, well, actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. She's no longer with us. He's like, she quit. I mean, she gave us immunity. And he's like, no, she didn't quit. I mean, she died. No, like she was killed. And he was like, what? I mean, how? Like, what happened? And he was like, actually, I was thinking that you could tell us that. He was like, me? I don't know anything. And he was like, I know, but you were one of the last people to see her alive, so we just like to talk to you. And so he's like, would you want to come down to this station, or do you want us to come to you? And he's like, why don't you come to me? He's like, when? And Wyatt is like, now. Like, let's just see what's going on. He's like, all right, I'll see you in a few. So then Anna's like, is everything okay? He's like, no, the DA wants to talk to me. And so she's pretty much like, should we get a lawyer? He's like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. And she's like, all right, I guess we'll just sit here and wait. And so then he's like, all right, let's finish up the questionnaire. And at one point, I want to just add this part in. They're actually talking, and he goes, well, when she says, you have to talk because you've been through this process before, there's a lot of talking involved with, recovery. And he goes, yeah, but I never wanted to talk to any of those clowns. And she goes, oh, so you calling me a clown? He was like, you're different. She's like, how? He's like, you're a pretty clown. And she starts laughing and everything. They gonna end up together or something. So then we switch to the police station. So I don't know. Do you think Wyatt is gonna be a suspect? Really? Well, he is a crier. He is. I didn't even think about that. I was like, why are you? He is definitely a suspect. So anyway, then we switch to the police station, and Veronica is getting Hannah back there because remember last week they got into that little tiff. So she gets Hannah back there to go talk to Benny, and actually one of the officers is like, only the grandmother, and Hannah goes, I'm his mother. And then Veronica goes, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that you were his grandmother? She goes, oh, I just get him confused sometimes. Oh, that's right, mother. She's like, oh, come on, right to the back. She's like, you got arthritis or something? I would have punched her in her face. Let's not prolong the disrespect. You know what I'm saying? I was over it. So she get back. No, wait a minute. It didn't even go like. Okay, so we actually switched to Katherine and Mitch. Now, Katherine was trying to get her groove on, and Mitch shut that down very quickly. Veronica and Katherine have no shame. Just no shame at all. Y'all should. So anyway, they're sitting there and she's like, I can't believe this. Like, what do you think they're doing to Benny back there? And he's like, they're probably just questioning the mess out of him. And she's like, about what? And he's like, probably about Quincy. And she goes, so, wait a minute. No, she goes, how long have you known Benny? And he goes, about 10 years. He's a really good friend. And she goes, so you know Hannah for that long too? And he goes, yeah, I used to see her at the ballpark. She used to come to a lot of his games. Why? He was like, she goes, and does she know who you are? He's like, I'm just Mitch. She goes, yeah, but your last name? He was like, I'm just Mitch. She was like, well, Mitch, I've tried to be just Katherine, but somehow Hargrave always seems to follow me, remember, because her father was like this freaking powerful, almighty attorney, and everybody knew him, and she's an heiress, and he just had, and remember, we found out he used to, like, sleep with the little law girls and get them, like, to the bar and stuff like that. Veronica, she actually told Veronica, which, I know that's how you got to the top, because you slept with my father. She goes, that must have been disgusting. He was old and wrinkled. Remember, she went on Veronica like that? I said, well, dang, Veronica, you is really, Candace and you are together. Like, that's that. So, yeah. And he was like, well, Hargrave, that's not my style. I'm just Mitch. I'm not about that life. So she goes, well, Mitch. She goes, I could use a man like you. He's like, oh, really? Is that right? Like, he was playing it off. Like, I was like, Mitch, are you serious? Because I picked up the vibe very quickly. Her tone changed and everything. She goes, I could use a little strong man like you. He was like, oh, really? And then she goes, are you dating anyone? He's like, no, why? And that's actually when she says, I could use somebody like you. And he goes, is that right? And she's like, yeah, it is. She was like, I'm going to be single soon. He was like, really? And then he goes, how much do you pay? She goes, oh, I don't pay. But when I'm done, you'll be paying me. And he goes, is that right? So then she just sits there and looks at him and he's like, you're kidding, right? Like, this is, you were just joking with me? And then her hand is like on his lap the whole entire time. I'm thinking she moved and she didn't. He was like, all right, I'm going to my car. I'm getting out of here. And he gets up and walks out. She was like, you're missing out. Remember Veronica be doing that with Benny? Like, y'all are just pitiful. Just stop. So then we switch to the interrogation room. I'm a really trying to we needed it, but it was just a lot. Okay, so Hannah is in there. Veronica's also in there. So I really want to get to just, what do they say, the meat and potatoes of it. At one point, you know, she keeps asking Benny, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? He's like, Mom, I don't want to worry you. He's like, I don't know. Like, just let it. He really doesn't know. But then he's at the same time saying, I don't want you to freak out. Like, just let it go. So she goes, did you kill Quincy? He's like, Mom, I already told you I didn't. She goes, then who did? And he goes, I told you that. And then he's like, you know what it is or something like that. And then Veronica chimes in and she's like, oh, well, who did it? He's like, I don't know. Like, what I meant by that is I told my mom that I didn't know. And then Veronica goes, are you sure you don't know who did this? And he goes, no, like, are your ears not clean? You didn't hear me? She goes, watch it, son. And he goes, oh, really? She's like, yeah, really. And then Hannah goes, stop, stop, stop. Because she knows, because he told her that it was Jeffrey. But Hannah was smarter. And I was like, Hannah, don't freaking say it in here because she's not going to represent him if she knows he's onto her son. Because for some twisted reason, she does have a certain love for Jeffrey. It just comes out every now and again when he's not around. Like, she doesn't want him to be aware of it. If I was Jeffrey, I would just keep bringing up Bobby Safeman because that seems to be the only thing that'll stop her. And he'd get a look in his eye and he'll be like, Bobby Safeman. And she'll backpedal and all that and be like, oh, I didn't mean, you know what I mean? You better use that, Jeffrey. So, yeah. And so she's like, oh, okay. Like, so she remembers that he told her that, but she's not saying that it was Jeffrey. So she's like, I know this wasn't you and all this, that, and the third. So then he also says, so she's like, what is going on? He's like, Mom, I don't know. Like, the Secret Service is wanting to talk to me and they wanted my DNA. And Hannah goes, DNA? She was like, and did you give it to him? He's like, Mom, what did you want me to do? They took it. And then Veronica goes, and she gets up and like, guard, I need to get out. She's like, I'm about to talk to the supervisors about these clowns. Talking about like the police at the station because she doesn't understand. First of all, she doesn't understand what's going on with the Secret Service. Like, how are you here? And Hannah actually says at one point the policeman said that, talking about Justin, but she didn't say like it was him. She goes, the policeman told me it was two people, a man and a woman. So are you sure you don't know? And that's when he says, Mom, like kind of signaling her like, Mom, I already told you, but I can't, you know? So once Veronica gets up and leaves, she goes, yeah, he's telling her, Mom, I'm not lying. She's like, I know. She goes, but are you sure it was Jeffrey? And I was like, girl, why would you say that? Because he said that they were recording everything at one point, and Veronica goes, don't worry, they can't use anything against you as long as I'm in here. So I was like, Hannah, how you just gonna blurt out Jeffrey's name like that? How? So anyway, yeah, she goes, are you sure it was Jeffrey Harrington? And he's like, yeah, Mom, like, I'm sure, but we couldn't say that in front of her. She's like, yeah, I know. And so pretty much she starts going in on Candace, talking about this is all your sister's fault. She's a walking tsunami. She lost your house, my house, your truck, the tow yard, everything. She's just, you need to stay away. She wrecks everything on her path. It's all her. And she was like, don't you know that death of that baby's been all over the news and she ain't even called to find out what happened? Do you know that? And he's like, Mom, maybe she hasn't watched the news. Literally, she hasn't. I know how that would sound unbelievable, but she really hasn't. But Hannah's, of course, thinking, and he was like, how do you know? Did you call her? She was like, did you? She was like, and what am I going to say to her? So she's like, God, please give me some relief. Because she was like, this is just too much right now. Okay, so then we switch out of that scene. Okay, after she goes in on Candace, I wasn't really here for it, but they both going on each other. So, and then at one point she says, you don't trust Veronica. And he's like, Mom, what other choice do we have? She was like, Katherine will find you a lawyer. He's like, no, she's already done enough. Like, it's fine. And she's like, okay, I'm telling you, Benny, but do not trust Veronica because you can't trust her. You really can't. Because honestly, if she finds out that he knows anything about Jeffrey, bye-bye, Benny. Because remember last half of this season, she actually told Jeffrey when Benny came over talking about, oh, a friend of mine lost their bracelet and blah, blah, blah. She comes upstairs and told Jeffrey, she was like, so now at least we know we have a plan B. And he's like, what are you talking about? She goes, if I can't get you and Candace off, we'll like just throw him down with Candace. So we already know, like, if, so you can't trust Veronica. If you act like you don't know nothing, that's when she feels sorry for you, because she really just thinks he's like dumb because of like, you buried the body in your sister's back, really, so she thinks he's dumb, and that's how that is. So yeah, so we actually, Veronica's outside, and I think she's talking to a PI, because I remember when we found out about Monty, I feel like just the name sounds familiar. I think Monty was that PI that Maggie hired to follow Veronica. I don't know, because I don't know how a PI would really tie into like finding out anything about the Secret Service. I don't know. So she just goes, Monty, the police are not telling me anything. All they told me was that there were some guys named Harrison and Downs. And he's like, I guess he was like, what about it? She's like, I really don't know. The police have told me so little. I don't know what's going on, but call me and tell me what you find out. So she goes back inside. You know, she's sitting down. Justin actually comes out. And there's like a cop there, so he gets rid of her. He's like, so-and-so needs to talk to you in the back. And so then he goes up to Veronica and snatches her up. And he's like, delete the video. And she's like, what? She was like, oh, you strong, girl. And he's like, delete the video. She goes, what video? And he's like, you know what I mean? He was like, the video on your phone. She goes, you delete it. He goes, you think I won't? And she goes, what did she say? Something, I don't know. And then he's like, you have no idea what I'm capable of. She goes, your wife doesn't know what you're capable of, but she will in public court. Oh yeah. And then I don't know what tactic, I don't know why he did that. That was never working, Justin. I'm sorry, it just wasn't. So then he like lets her go, and he's like, please, can I have the video? Like tried to, like, I don't know, was trying to sweet talk her or something. It didn't work. And yeah, so he's like, please, like, I'm sorry, can I have the video? And she was like, oh, a new tactic? Is that what we're doing now? And then he goes, look, I'm really sorry. She was like, I told you to stay away from my son. He's like, yes, you did, and I'm sorry. And then she goes, but instead, you're pulling him into stairwells and following him into hotel rooms and saying that you want him and this, that, and the third. And then he looks around like to make sure nobody's listening. And then he's like, yes, I did, and I'm sorry. And then he's like, but please delete the video. And she's like, that won't be happening. And then he goes, so you really want to go down this road? And he's like, lady, I'm warning you. She goes, okay, well, what's the warning? What? Because I'm not scared. He's like, you will not like the outcome if you go down this road. So then she's like, what you gonna do? Throw unicorns and rainbows at me and feathers? And then he just does like this look like he wanted to hit her. But obviously, you're in the middle of a police station. That would have been dumb. And you know Veronica will cause a big scene. So she's like, and she goes, child, please. And she goes and sits down. And he had this crazy look in his eye like, okay, this is what she wants to do. I don't think he's a match for Veronica, but we'll see. Because, I mean, at this point, I think he's going to leave Jeffrey alone. What do you guys think? Because I don't really, okay, yeah, he pulled that stuff before, like, oh, blah, 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 I love you. And all. I think it was definitely lust. And I think lust wears off when you realize somebody got a crazy mother who's trying to destroy your life. Okay? So I don't really think he's going to be trying to, if anything, he might say, Jeffrey, could you see if you can get your mom's phone? But I don't really think he's going to be all over him. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that would be dumb. Like, really? She got the video and everything. So I think he's over. I think he's going to be over Jeffrey. I just really think so. I don't know, though. So then we actually switch to Erica and Candace. Candace comes to the door, and she's telling Erica about the offer that was proposed to her, but she doesn't say who it is. She's like, this powerful man came to me. He was always 10 steps ahead of me. And Erica's like, who is it? She's like, girl, I can't tell you that. And then she's like, and then he tells me that he can get me off of the murder if I let my brother take the fall. And she's like, what? She was like, well, first of all, why didn't you tell me that you buried Quincy in your backyard? She goes, because it was none of your business. And she talks to Erica like trash. She really does. And I always thought that when Erica first came on the show, she spoke to Erica like she was beneath her. But, like, it wasn't like, dang, like, you know my son is killed out here, and you just kept your mouth completely shut? Like, I don't get, like, Erica, you doing too much. And Candace do talk to her, and now we find out why. So, anyway, she goes, how come you didn't tell? She goes, because it was none of your business. She goes, but I could have helped you. She goes, no, you couldn't. You just needed to stay in your place. She's like, okay, girl. And she's like, but he wants Benny to take the fall. And she goes, well, that wouldn't be such a good idea. Smack. It was like, and then she had to feel her face like, she was like, don't ever say that again. She was like, say it again. I want you to. She goes, you better remember your place. She was like, girl, because back when I was running things, you were my bottom being. You wasn't even bringing enough money then. So stop. So then Erica's like, I know. I'm sorry. And Candace was like, no, I'm sorry. She's schizophrenic. She was like, no, everybody on this show is just crazy. Quite frankly, everybody is crazy. Period. So she's like, I'm just really stressed out and everything like that. She's like, I get it, girl. Like, no need to apologize. So she was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And she's like, well, where are you going? And then she goes, Erica, you really know why I'm not gonna tell you? And then Erica goes, because it's none of my business. And Candace goes, no. She goes, you know that dress you loaned me the other night? She's like, yeah, so. She was like, there was this scent on it. And I couldn't even think about where it was from, but it was this cheap ghetto cologne that War wears. And she goes, what? War? She was like, Candace, you know I don't mess with War. And then she goes, I better know that. And then she goes, I don't. She's like, okay. And then she goes, I need to borrow another dress. She's like, yeah, go ahead, take what you need. So Candace gets up, she's about to leave, and then Erica goes, you know, I don't like you like this. She's trying to hold her up, obviously, probably so War will come down and, you know, she'll get some information and blah, blah, blah. But Candace is just moving. You know, she's moving and grooving. So she's like, I don't like you like this. And Candace turns around and she's like stressed out. And then she like kind of hints that she's like, you want me to take care of that? Like, we know what she's talking about, like trying to get Candace to lay up with her. Didn't Candace look at her like, which? You are the gum on the bottom of my shoe. Turned around, went to the closet, took her dresses, and scurried that football out of there. I said, go ahead, Candace. Go ahead. Okay, you lost your mind. And that was the second time she tried to do that. A little freaky dick, ain't she? So, when she calls Warlock, because Candace leaves, she goes, I need you to get her. She just slapped me. I hate her. You need to get somebody down here. He's like, baby. He's like, I can't send them right now, baby, because I need them all with me. She's like, are you kidding? He's like, I'll call you back. She was like, War. He goes, I'll call you back. He wants to go get some of his goons to go meet up with the Malones at their restaurant. And one of the dudes actually goes, man, that's the mob. He was like, I don't give about no mob, man. Go talk to him. So they was like, you know, they not messing with War because he's crazy. So they all get up and leave up out of there. Then we switch back to the station. And so Mitch is like, so what's going on now? And Veronica's like, we're just waiting for, we're waiting for a phone call. And she's like, I'm just going to wait here for him. And Catherine's like, Benny wouldn't want you to do this. She goes, I don't care. I'm just going to stay here. She's like, now, Hannah, we have a lot of planning to do, talking about the funeral back at the house. So I really need you there to help me. She's like, I almost forgot. She's like, okay. She's like, well, come on. She's like, I drove, so I'll just meet you there. So Mitch and her leave, and Katherine is actually leaving behind them. George, the DA George, comes in. And he's like, oh, Mrs. Cryer, I was actually, was wanting to speak to you. And she's like, well, what about? And he goes about DA Allison. We found the body. And she's like, oh, that is so sad. And he goes, yeah, actually, I wanted to speak to you. And she's like, me? What about? And he goes, well, you were the last person to see her alive. She goes, excuse me? He was like, well, the phone calls to her phone where you were like one of the last people to call her. Also, the locator on her car shows that she was at your house. And then she goes, well, I don't know why she would be there. Veronica steps up and actually tries to come to Catherine's defense. And she goes, Katherine, don't you answer another question. And he goes, Veronica. And she goes, George, you know better than this. Questioning her like this. You need an arrest warrant. And even then I wouldn't let you talk to her. He's like, oh, I'll get one. And she's like, well, do what you need to do. And he's like, you sure are representing a lot of people, aren't you? And she goes, since the day you met me, George. And he goes, all right. And he goes, I'll be seeing you soon, Mrs. Cryer. He goes, Veronica. And she goes, George. And they leave out. And she goes, meet me at your house in 15 minutes. Katherine goes, I don't trust you. And then Veronica goes, I know. Now come on. So then we switch to Melissa. Jeffrey actually comes to see Melissa, and he's trying to tell her, I'm really sorry about everything. I was really mean to you. He was like, but please do not let my mother be the cause of you taking your own life. And she's like, I'm not even trying to hear it, Jeffrey. Just please leave. And he's like, things will get better. She was like, oh, is my father going to come back to life? Is that what's going to happen? And he goes, no. She's like, then how are things going to get better? Please explain that to me. He's like, I don't know, but they have to. He's like, this could work. She goes, how? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, this is not the answer. Right in comes her mother. And actually, Jeffrey doesn't even know who she is. So he goes, hi. And she goes, hi. He goes, I'm Jeffrey. She goes, I'm Doris. I'm her mother. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I'll step out so you two can talk. And she's like, no, it's fine. You can stay. I just wanted to see how she was taking. And actually, as soon as she comes in, she goes, Melissa, now you need to stop acting this way. And that's when he kind of looks like, what? And then she's like, I'm her mother. And he goes, well, I'll leave. She's like, no, I just wanted to see how she was taking this. And apparently she is not taking it well. She was like, so you're up to it again? And Jeffrey goes, again? And she goes, yes, she tried it twice when she was a teenager and now again. She goes, geez, Melissa, I don't have time to take care of your father's funeral and then take care of you too. And then Melissa's like, oh, of course. And I thought she was going to slap her for a second because she just seemed like one of those mothers. And so, but she didn't. Never. Melissa goes, of course, never any time for me, right? She's like, this is no time to be selfish, Melissa. And Jeffrey's like, there is treatment for this, talking about, being suicidal and everything. She was like, and what, where are we going to get the money from? Your mother? And then he goes, there's actually programs that she goes, we already owe her our lives. And then Jeffrey goes, there's actually free. And then she goes, I'm not into any handouts, but I hear you are into, hand stuff. And he goes, excuse me? She goes, well, you are gay, aren't you? And she's like, don't give me that look. She told me everything. And he's like, well, yes, I am. And actually, just so you know, gay or straight, anybody could get, And she goes, well, your mother. He's like, yeah, I got that part. So then she's like, well, just tell your mom that Melissa is good and she will be better. Okay? And so she's trying to make sure Veronica pretty much does not come for their lives. So the deal's not even off, even though the father is dead. So she's like, nice to meet you, Jeffrey, and she leaves. So then she's like, see? You see that? She's just like your mother, and you thought I was kidding. He goes, yeah, she is. And she's like, can you please just go? And he's like, Melissa, it's going to get better. She goes, how? She was like, please remind me what I have to live for again. And he was like, Melissa. And she goes, no. Go back to the part where you said that everything is going to be okay and this, that, and the third. He's like, Melissa, come on. And she's like, just please leave. And he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, yeah, me too. That actress I almost cried. The look she gives, and she looks so disheveled, but she's obviously still beautiful. She's a sister, so that's not a surprise. Nice skin. Like, I want to, Tika and her, I want to know and Crystal, which is Hannah, I want to know what they're using on their skin. Because it is glowing. Literally, every scene we see them in. Like, what the heck? It's Antoinette, Tika, and Crystal. What are y'all using? I want it. Okay, well, my skin is popping too. Look at that. But, it's still not where theirs. Anyway, so yeah. So she's there. She's just crying. She looks disheveled and everything. So anyway, he ends up leaving. And then we actually... Wait a minute. We switch back to Candace at the hotel. There's a knock on the door. It's Charles. She's like, you know what? I don't have time. And Landon actually comes in with him. I don't have time for this. So what do you want? And then he goes, you're frustrated. She goes, just please leave. And he's like, listen, I have to tell you something. She's like, honestly, I don't care what it is. And as long as you're not bothering my brother, I don't care. Just leave. And he's like, look, it's important. She's like, what is it? He's like, I was asked to give a talk on gun violence. And your son was caught in the crossfire of a gunfight. She's like, what? Great. Tika's great. I almost cried right there too. Her reaction was priceless. And it was real. And so he goes, no, she goes, what did you do? And he's like, what? I would never do anything like that. And then she's like, so what? Is he okay? He goes, he was shot. She goes, well, where is he? Where is he? Is he okay? No, he didn't make it. What? And she breaks down, and she's standing there crying. And he's like, I'm sorry. And she's like, get out. And they're still standing there. Get out! So they leave. She slams the door. And then she goes, what did I do? What did I do? And she's crying. What did I do? That was crazy. She goes, and what? She goes, what about my son? Because he goes, this about your son. She goes, what about my son? Appreciated that protecting, you know, well, what about him? Because he's my son. What you got to do with it? Appreciated that. You know, black folks, we be like that when it come to our family. Well, what about her? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? So appreciated that. So then we switched to Veronica. She didn't met up with her and Catherine's house, or the house that she moved out of and left to Jim. She up there pouring gasoline. Catherine is like, what the heck are you doing? Catherine is like, Veronica's like, I'm lighting this place on fire. She goes, you're kidding, right? She goes, oh, Catherine, dear, you know I love starting fires. She goes, are you sure Jim's not in there? She's like, Veronica, what are you doing? She was like, you will not bring me into this. There has to be no evidence, no crime. So she's like, now light the match, Catherine. And she's like, you can't be serious. She's like, I'm not burning down my house. And like she said, she's like, you're not going to bring me into this. Light the match. So she lights, and remember we seen that on the preview. I thought they were like on set, or so, well, obviously they're on set, but it didn't look like they were actually at the location, but they were actually at her house. So Catherine throws in the match, and it's just lighting on fire. And Veronica goes, are you sure Jim isn't in there? And Catherine goes, who the heck cares? And they start fading back. That was everything. Tyler must have been like, back, okay, back it up. So it was priceless. And then next week on the Haves and Have-Nots. So this is going to be interesting. Candace is going to go to the location. No, actually, at one point she goes, where was he shot? And Charles goes, Landon. And he goes, someplace called the Fountain Drop. And she goes, oh my, and she's crying. And next week we see, oh my gosh, didn't she call Hannah up talking about, why didn't you protect him? You should have been the one that died. And Hannah actually looked at the phone like, what? And then they're actually going to get into it at the funeral, which I'm presuming is going to be in a couple more episodes, because 2021, this was episode 19, so 2021, 22. We should have about, what, like 4 more episodes left? Something like that. So the funeral is going to be coming up. That's going to be crazy. Veronica's trial is going to be coming up. That's going to be another. So we have a lot of things to look forward to. This is definitely going to be crazy. Next season is going to be off the chain. Tyler better bring it, because these are the last 2 seasons, Tyler. Okay? Come on. You bringing it, but bring it harder. So once again, I want to apologize that I did not come with a review last week. Hopefully that never happens again. So I do apologize for that. This was a good episode. Let me know what you thought. And let's talk about it in the comments. Okay, it's the one and only your girl, JDJ. Y'all know what it is. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you right here next week, hopefully. Peace.